everyone. We're here today with Jennifer Henderson, and she's the owner of the B.R.A.T Virtual Academy. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Hi, Brianna, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on here. I really appreciate this and being able to spread the word more about B.R.A.T Virtual Academy. It's been a huge dream of mine, and it's so amazing to see it starting to come to realization and being able to offer this opportunity now for parents who are military. We're not just exclusively for military families. Really will be beneficial for anyone that moves around from state to state. So that way their kids can have consistent curriculum as they move from base to base. That's the main goal of ours. So that way they don't get to high school and, still deal with this, being ahead or behind every time they move. And then they're not set up the way they could be to start college sooner or just get those credits ahead of time. So we're really just trying to give an opportunity, virtual opportunity, since we're in the 21st century, why not? And make sure that these kids don't have to keep going from base to base. Like my stepdaughter, she moved 9 times before she got to high school, and it really affected her schooling. So I hear that all the time from so many parents. It was something that even affected me 20 years ago when I was a military spouse. We put off having kids for over a decade because I just didn't want to move from base to base and have my kids move from school to school and worry about how they're going to do socially, how they're going to do academically. It was a huge concern of mine. And then recently I was Air Force active duty, and I couldn't believe the same situation was still happening. So now that I'm a veteran and I'm out and I can do something about it, I'm putting together this school so that way parents don't have to deal with this anymore. This big worry, this big time consuming issue also of moving from school to school and having to reapply. And oh my gosh, it's just a headache. And then for the students too, it's hard on them. I didn't experience that personally, but I've spoken to several people who've moved, as military brats. They had to keep moving from base to base, and it was hard on them. And yeah, it's good for them. They learn resiliency and they learn grit and they learn all those great things, and they get a huge wealth of experience. But at the same time, I don't want their education to be collateral damage in the mix of it all. So really we're just there as an opportunity. It's something, if it works out for students, they won't have to keep changing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Being in college myself, like I've had to take online courses because I don't know, what's going to happen in the future. So, yeah, I think moving is a big problem with military children and not having a solid, grasp on where they're going to end up. So, I think this is a really good thing that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Would you like to talk a little bit about the curriculum and, what the kids here learn?
Yeah, absolutely. So our curriculum, since we're not accredited yet, we don't have that data to back us up, but we are working with an accredited company. So, parents can be relieved to know that, their student are still going to get quality curriculum, accredited curriculum, and they also have their own certified teachers. So, and they are used to teaching this curriculum. So there's not a whole lot of craziness. There's a lot of consistency. And the really great part about their curriculum is that it allows students the flexibility of when they're going to take their classes. So if a morning schedule works out for them, great. If an afternoon schedule works better for them, they can do that too. So they just will be able to take whatever curriculum they need to go to do and run with it. And then one of the great things is we're going to have academic advisors. So they're going to be able to stay with the student as many years as possible. That's the goal. It's not just going to be for 1 year. As long as the student's with us, my goal and my hope is that advisor can stay with them because they will know them best. give them more consistency and support. And especially if they have special needs, they'll be able to keep knowing, this has been working or this hasn't been working. Let's keep this up or whatnot, or let's change this. So as the advisor's going with them, they can also help them determine what their courses and their classes are. And if there's a PCS coming up, deployment coming up, or maybe mom or dad's coming back from a deployment, they can change their schedule and provide that flexibility so they can provide more time for that child to be with that parent, or to just navigate moving again. And even just for the family, for parents too, knowing that their kids' education isn't going to suffer as they move from base to base.
Yeah, 100%. Do these advisors actually help the children with, like, if they're having a problem in a certain class or having a problem with a certain math problem, or do they help with that as well?
Yeah, they're extra support. So not only will the students have teachers that will help them, and they can reach out to their teachers at any time, and there's tutoring available and everything, but they'll also have the additional help of the advisors. So if they have a question about anything, the advisors can help them. And then also, I forgot to mention, all our advisors are military affiliated in some way. So they're either military spouse or a veteran, or they were a previous military brat themselves. And that's pretty much most of our staff. We're all military affiliated, because I know what it's like to be a military spouse, and it's hard to keep a job every time you move from base to base. So a lot of our staff, one of the great things, if parents come to our school, they're helping to support a staff be able to keep their jobs, because they will be able to move from base to base with their husbands or whatnot, as military spouses too. But yeah, so the advisors, they know what the military lifestyle is like, and they're going to be there to help support them. And they will completely understand if they need some extra time for PCSing or deployments or things like that.
That's awesome. You're providing opportunities for the kids and for the teachers and people who want to work with you. I think that's great. I know you were previously, or maybe you're still active duty in the Air Force. Um, how was that like for you? What was your job title, and what did you do in the Air Force?
In the Air Force, I worked in cyber, and that was very interesting because I didn't know anything about zeros and ones until I started. And then I was learning by fire hose, but a lot of great information. And I had no idea at that time how it would also help support what I was going to do later in life. Because now that, I'm creating this, but even before I started creating the website and getting our tech people on board, I know all the keywords and the important jargon and things like that, to know that, what are we doing to make sure that our sites stay safe. Because since we're specifically going to be helping military connected children, I don't want their information even more so to get, leaked out. So it really has helped to kind of be a background to where I am today. And it was really great. It was pretty recently, though. So I just became a veteran a few months ago. So that's probably why you're a little confused. I was in the Air Force for just 4 years. Got my master's degree. They really helped with that. The military is great about that. And they just really helped to support me as a woman and learn leadership skills and things like that. So that way, by the time I did become a veteran, which I am now, it's weird calling myself a veteran, I have those resources and those skills that I can move ahead with and still give back to the military community, because they're my family. I only know military. Basically, I straight out of high school, I married a guy in the Navy. We were married 17 years. And then things happened. And then I ended up joining the Air Force myself. So it was pretty interesting to go from a spouse to active duty, to see the two different sides. And now I see how all this experience has led me to where I am today, so I can provide the service for other parents.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think was the defining moment to where you were like, "I'm gonna start Brat"? When do you think that was?
Actually, while I was my last year in service. So when I was still active duty, I was talking to a friend of mine that I was working with, and she was talking about how she has three kids, and they're all different ages from high school down to elementary school, and how they're going to have to be moving again soon. And she let me know about the process of, having to reapply. And I never knew high school students had to apply for an application, or that base schools could be full, so then they end up having to put one or two kids out into the district that's right outside the base gates. Um, but and that school district might not be always the best. And then so she had let me know all these concerns because she's had three kids come up through the move from different bases, because she had been in for about 15 years at that time, so quite a few times they'd had moved. And I was asking her all these questions and just, trying to pick her brain about, um, what are your options? What are your options about education? Because my personal background is in education. I was a teacher, and then I was an online teacher. So, my passion is education. My master's degree is in learning and technology. And she was telling me, no, from what I know, the bases don't really talk to each other, and they're they don't have this educational portfolio that they can move from base to base with. And I was really shocked. So I'm hoping that this will give then parents and students a chance to keep their educational portfolio from wherever they go to the next base. And then by the time they get to, through high school into college, they can have this full portfolio that they can say, look, this is all the work I've done. If they want to become a digital designer, or whatever, marketing or things like that, whatever they want to get into, they can have proof, what they've done in school already, to apply for a college and just really set them up for success.
Okay. So you in your programs, you have the ability to go down certain paths, like you're saying, like you can do like a marketing or digital art and stuff like that in your courses?
Eventually, yes. So right now we're opening K through 8, just because we want to get the accreditation first before we open up our high school classes or high school grades. So we'll be K through 8 this year, then we'll be open to 10th grade the following year. And then the year after that, we'll be accredited and open up to 12th grade. And yeah, so during their high school years, they'll be able to pick whatever the curriculum that we're using. They'll be able to pick whatever courses they want that interest them, and we'll be able to get them ready for whatever they want to do. Either they pursue college or if they pursue trade school, they'll be all set up.
That's awesome. That sounds really cool. Being able to pick the path you want to go down instead of just taking generic classes seems like a really good start for sure. Um, is there anything else that you wanted to add about the brat?
Yeah, just one more thing I wanted to mention, because one of the main things also that I heard from a lot of the research I did and interviewing different people, a lot of the military kids I found out have to eat lunch alone every time they move to a new school because it's unfamiliar, and it's new. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a virtual lunchtime meetup by grade level, and kids will just be able to hang out, eat lunch online, and get to know each other and really feel like it's a school community. And we're doing the same thing for the parents. They're going to have a weekly meetings. We call them meetings, but we're going to call them meetups. And then that way they can meet each other, exchange information. If they want to swap recipes, they can, whatever they want to do for experience, get out their frustrations, whatever it might be. So that way they feel like they're part of a community too. Because I know as a military spouse, it can be sometimes isolating, not just for the student who has to keep moving, but for the spouse who has to keep moving. So we really want it to just be a school community where everybody feels welcome and they want to come to school. That's the important part. They want to come and they want to learn.
Yeah, that That sounds really good, you know, being able to network and feeling like you're a part of something, not alone, um, is really fantastic too. Um, but if that's all you have for today, we're very happy to have you on. Um, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And we really appreciate it, me and all my staff, for this opportunity. So thank you.
Of course. Well, have a good day.
All right, you too.